Hey, Wednesday, June 4th, Kyle's back in his seat. So feels so good to be in your own studio. Today we're talking about automakers suing the Treasury, high EV repair costs, and Tesla hiring an insurance person. So those two things probably go together somehow.
They work, actually. That's good, right in line. Big conversation.
Every once in a while we get lucky with a show and the things work. It's intentional. All right, Kyle, you were out. You were out at DMSC for a couple of days with a lot of really progressive marketers, marketing focus. Some new friends, some old friends, a lot of great industry partners, a lot of great dealers. What's your takeaway? What are the hot topics? Yesterday, you talked about large groups having trouble implementing a CDP. It's not as easy as you think. But final thoughts. You had a little time to contemplate a flight home, night's sleep in your own bed.
Yeah, I mean, you see this in marketing in automotive and probably in every vertical where kind of there's a hot topic every 1 to 2 years and everybody's trying to figure out the solution. And we've obviously gone into this like targeted addressable marketing, identity resolution, CDP, segmented audiences type of conversation. And they all wrap around each other in some way and feed off of each other. But I think what's hard for me about it is it's really iterative off of what we've done for the last 5 to 7 years, but we're talking about it in a new way. And my fear is that we forget like some of the basics in marketing of like, oh, we should send these one-to-one emails to particular people. But I think the most exciting part of the CDP, and particularly not just the CDP, but the identity resolution and data cleanup conversation, is just reducing the marketing waste overall, where customer doesn't own car, we've got a new car in the driveway, or new email, different phone number,
we're not spending our money where we shouldn't be spending our
marketing.
And
I
same
think
old stuff.
Like as an industry, figuring out how to not just like overextend ourselves specifically on Google and Facebook, which is what we've been doing over the last 6 to 7 years, is just going, need more leads, add more budget, need more
dump
leads,
money in the bucket. Yep.
How do we make that bucket right sized?
One of the things that concerns me is that, and this is general, this isn't just about this situation, is that often when there's like a new hot topic, there's new vernacular, there are new words and phrases around it. And a couple things happen. One, people feel like because they become familiar with the terminology that they're actually doing something.
Right.
But they're not. Number two is that the lie that you just said is that maybe like the new shiny thing is actually not even as much, it doesn't make as much change as you could if you focused on the things that you already know. So, but if you get it right, though,
say as an industry, like over the last, I don't know, I'm going to call it 8 years, our desire to define a class of technology so rigidly or by automotive standards is extremely dangerous.
AKA digital retailing,
AI, CDP, right? Mm-hmm. We have to look more broadly, cross-vertically, to understand what the actual technology is, and then draft on that in auto instead of like redefining it for auto, because then we get super dangerous when trying to go to multi-vertical technologies, which are entering auto at a rapid pace. Mm-hmm. And then we're misunderstanding the necessity to like bring those technologies into auto because we've kind of like misinterpreted the terminology. So that's my biggest lookout. I had that conversation a bunch this week. So
I love it. Well, there you go. A little bit of a marketing intro. We had marketing things. Thanks to the Pashas for always being so good to us, and putting on great events and like caring about and serving their audience well. We're all about that. Hey, one of the ways you can help educate yourself and learn about all these types of things is our YouTube channel, because we just uploaded all the sessions from ASOTUCon. You go to asotu.be and see all of the sessions. If you were there, you can see all the ones you missed. If you weren't there, you can see all of them because you missed them all. So you get to see them. A lot of topics like this, where you hear some of the sharpest people discussing them, live on stage. It's a lot of fun. And so we'll do that. Also, we have a webinar coming up. I don't know if we have any details on that right now, but we do have another webinar. Who's it with? Is it Activator?
Activator. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. Activator's like a little sleeping startup inside of a giant. And so I'm interested to see what the conversation a lot around the CDP and the use of that data for marketing automation. So.
And you go to our website, asoto.com. You can just sign up for that. It's free. It's fast. It's a lot of fun. Free, fast, and fun. There you go. Soto Edge webinars. It's pretty much what they are. All right, let's get into some news here.
What a value prop.
U.S. Senator Joe Manchin has urged manufacturers to sue the Treasury Department over its implementation of local content rules for clean energy tax credits under the Inflation Reduction Act, aka the IRA. Boy, that was a mouthful. So basically, the rules that tell you where you need to get battery materials from and whether or not you'd be applicable for credits, layman's terms. Manchin, who has recently left the Democratic Party and is now a full independent, has criticized both major parties for partisan extremism and claims the Treasury's final rules have the original content requirements in the legislation that do actual harm to U.S. manufacturers because of the reliance on Chinese materials and the requirements of what happens under the act to get credits. Basically, he said the rules permit automakers to use Chinese critical minerals for another year, which he says breaks the law. So there was this law in place, and they just implemented rules that basically stretched the terms. And so basically he's saying now automakers can use Chinese materials in EV batteries longer than the law actually is in place. So it's like, he's like, oh, you just weaseled your way out of having to be accountable to the rules that you just laid on automakers, and they made investments to try to get U.S. materials. So basically, he said just directly to Janet Yellen, I'm encouraging every manufacturer to sue you, and I will even do the amicus brief on their behalf, and you'll lose every suit.
Wow. That is like...
Somebody invite him to that Ford thing that's happening this weekend.
He'll come.
Yeah. You're gonna pull him up on stage with Eminem.
Well, this right here, like for me, this is the story that I wish we could, like, in the political landscape, drive home. Is partisan extremism is dangerous for our political climate and for our business climate. Like anytime you go extreme to one side or the other, it is extremely dangerous because you stop to consider the other side's the impact that the other side has as kind of a desire for. And so I love that he's calling that out. Interesting that it's coming from Manchin, right, with kind of everything that he was a part of really in 2023. But man,
he shoots it straight, man.
He shoots come out and shoot it straight like that, like snaps for that dude.
Yep. Speaking of things snapping,
segue.
I like that one. Repairing an EV is on average 30% more expensive than repairing an internal combustion vehicle, according to Q1 2024 insurance data. And here's why. Average EV repair claim in Q1 was $6,066 compared to only $4,703 for ICE vehicles. Basically, EVs declared total losses at the same rate of ICE vehicles, though. So it was about just under 10% EVs and ICE. The biggest cost driver on repairs is mechanical labor hours, 3.04 hours for EVs versus 1.66 hours for ICE vehicles. Extra labor also often involves managing the high voltage battery situation, including de-energizing the battery, removing it so you could safely do repairs without, anyone getting electrocuted. EVs also rely more on OEM parts. This makes sense. Newer vehicles, proprietary parts. There's not a lot of aftermarket solutions. So like 90% of EV repairs need an OEM part versus 65% of an ICE vehicle. Tesla Model 3 and Model Y are the top vehicles for repair claims, followed by the Ford Mustang Mach-E. No surprise there. They're just more of them on the road.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with the actual necessity whenever you start working on one of these EVs,
it involves multiple people in a gaff.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. You essentially have to completely disarm the battery, right? Sometimes even like removing it completely from the vehicle frame and setting it to the side in order to even work on it just for safety reasons. But then like the one thing, and I have a buddy that works for Geico, he said the one thing that gets them in the most trouble is you get like a simple fender bender that would typically be a few $100 or something like that on an ICE vehicle, or really anything like 2021 prior. And one of the big impact pieces is not just the EV battery, but it's the technology required for things that include like LiDAR, right?
Yeah, sensor
where
calibration,
the wiring
all that
harness
stuff
has to completely be taken off and then reconnected and then painstakingly tested within a like
very
nano
small
micro
tolerance,
whatever of tolerance in order
nano
to
micro.
get back
That's
yeah.
perfect.
That's exactly that's the new word.
It's perfect. I know exactly what you meant.
Yeah.
Really small.
Yeah, between what you have to do with the EV battery and what you just in labor alone, but then they pointed obviously to the OEM parts not having a ton of aftermarket on this stuff. Like it's one of those things where I think, you know, with the affordability on the actual purchase price, it's similar to like, oh, we got OLED TVs for $3,800 and now they're $900, right?
Yep.
You just see like both things needing to get scale, get aftermarket, get efficiency in the purchase side and the repair side. So not a big surprise, but still like a consideration that people that are buying an EV
affordability
need to be thinking of.
Ties back to affordability, and I think the insurance can be a surprise on what an EV costs. Speaking of trying to lower insurance costs for EVs and Geico, you had a friend who worked for Geico. We can use that as a segue too.
Man. We're just leaning right in. So Tesla is taking a strategic step to actually reduce these high insurance costs because of high vehicle repairs for its vehicles by hiring a longtime Geico executive. So the 20-year veteran of Geico's name is Alan Laban. He's joining Tesla as the head of insurance partnerships. Their goal, Tesla, is to make vehicles easier, more economical to insure by partnering with insurance companies and collision shops. So his goal will be to lower the total cost of Tesla ownership and support the transition into sustainable energy as well. Tesla, if you don't know, also has their own insurance product. They launched in California in 2019. And it actually uses real-time driving data, which some other insurance companies have had with like their
get a little plug-in or little
things to determine insurance rates. The insurance product, though, has been controversial due to the reliance on the real-time driving data and safety scores. So here's a quote from Alan. My goal is to make Tesla vehicles easy and economical. There it comes back to insure. So
I mean, they're going vertical. I mean, but this is interesting that they're hiring him to lean into the partnership side of it. You know, they tried to go it alone. They tried to go vertical. That's probably an okay product in certain scenarios, but obviously it's getting more complex and costs are going up. So they brought, I mean, like I'd trust the guy from Geico, wouldn't you?
Well, I would trust, and also you think about all of the people that are buying used Teslas from elsewhere. And so Tesla partnering with these insurance companies gives them more access to better data and more parts for the collision shops, making it easier for them to also insure the used side of the market.
Great point.
So, you know, if you think like long-term and you're thinking about retention and you're thinking about getting people in these used Teslas, number of vehicles on the road, all of that's important.
You know, they should have just hired Flo. I would love to see a conversation between Flo and Elon Musk. That'd be amazing. We'll get AI.
That would be stellar. Just put him in a room and see who talks more. You know what I
mean? That'd be unbelievable. Hey, we hope we sent you away with something to think about, something to smile about at the show. We know you have a lot of work to do. Go out there, love some people more than you love cars, but take care of the cars too.